Nobody knows where this Halo sound comes from.
Grunt birthday party skull.
The grunt birthday party skull.
Grunt birthday party.
You shoot them and then confetti comes out.
Apparently Halo 2 had a grunt birthday party skull in it that I was not aware of.
So the sound doesn't just show up in Halo.
I've heard this in Viva Pinata.
It's in commercials, movies, television, you name it.
It's kind of like sand, but it's kind of not.
I didn't expect this mystery to go this deep.
I don't know what kind of information you'd be looking for.
I think he said that they used to play Viva Pinata in downtime because it was a relaxing game in between making Halo games, right?
It's in Viva Pinata. I don't think Halo's official tweet is right.
It's just a fact. Now, I don't want to expose that to the world.
In 2007, Halo 3 released and was a global phenomenon. And the Grunt Birthday Party Easter egg, which is essentially a skull that you could find in the game's campaign, that would unlock a feature where every time you headshotted a grunt, a bunch of confetti would pop out and a celebration sound would play. What we're really interested in is the sound specifically, which surprisingly has one of the deepest connected histories that I'm pretty sure most hardcore Halo fans or just gaming enthusiasts don't know about. Like, what started out as just a simple curiosity ended up pushing Luke and I down one of the deepest rabbit holes we've gone into in quite a while, and the story we uncovered along the way is quite interesting. So this is the search for the origin of the Grunt Birthday Party sound. Let's start at the beginning of the whole Grunt Birthday Party Easter egg, which actually wasn't Halo 3. The Grunt Birthday Party skull actually originated in Halo 2, and the reason it was called the Grunt Birthday Party skull was because on the campaign level, the Arbiter, if you flew over to this specific pillar and circled around here, you could see a bunch of grunts dancing around a skull. Because of that, the skull got the name Grunt Birthday Party. This one, of course, was a little harder to find than some of the other skulls because it was restricted to being found only in legendary difficulty originally, but back in the original Halo 2 days, the Grunt Birthday Party skull actually was completely different than what it was in later Halo games. The first version of the Grunt Birthday Party skull actually would have it where whenever you headshotted any enemy, they would explode like a plasma grenade. It was actually something that could be kind of helpful, or maybe a hindrance in some instances. And it wasn't until Halo 3 where the Grunt Birthday Party would be altered to take more of the form of what is traditionally recognized as the Grunt Birthday Party skull. You know, the typical pop and hoorays that we hear. This time the skull would be unlocked on the level Crow's Nest, and all you had to do is walk over to this little drop-off, drop down carefully, and land in this little hallway, and you could find the skull here. I think the sound effect became incredibly iconic, and it would go on to become a fan favorite Halo Easter egg and a staple for the Halo series for each game iteration that Bungie would work on, and every Halo game that 343 Industries would work on after they took over. It would show up in Halo 3 ODST, the next game released in the mainline Halo games. Here it is in Halo Reach. When 343 Industries took over, they started with an anniversary edition of Halo Combat Evolved. The original Halo game didn't have any skulls in it, so they retroactively went in and added skulls, and the Grunt Birthday Party skull was one of those skulls that was added in, and it works the same way. This skull was originally only unlockable on the Maw, where you had to like drive to this little bridge section and jump up here and grab the skull. Much like Halo 3 ODST, Halo 4 would release without collectible skulls, but they still were in the game where you could activate them. And once again, the Grunt Birthday Party works the same way. Then when Halo 2 Anniversary was about to release, I was actually surprised to see that they chose to prioritize the Grunt Birthday Party skull in its newer format rather than just retaining the way that it worked originally. I would have thought, if anything, they would have maybe split it into two different skulls and had one skull that still worked the way that the original Grunt Birthday Party skull worked, but nonetheless, they just overhauled it altogether, and the Grunt Birthday Party skull in Halo 2A works the way it did in Halo 3. Halo 5, you could find the Grunt Birthday Party in a pretty hilarious way, which would unlock the ability to activate the skull, which sounds the same. And in Halo Infinite, on the mission repository, you can grapple over to this platform, and you can find the skull here, and this game also had the skull. Wait a second, that sounds a little different, right? Okay, so interestingly enough, in Halo Infinite, the decision was made to change the sounds of the hoorays that you would hear with the grunt birthday party skull to a different recording with a higher pitch. It's a lot quieter too. I saw some people in comment sections of videos complaining about it not sounding as good. I kind of agree. I think that the sound was iconic before. Why change it? It's much like how they changed the horn on the mongoose, something I'm still really, really bitter about, even though it's something as simple as just the horn on a mongoose. But for the sake of our exploration of this topic, it was good for us to go and check every single Halo game because we were able to verify that at the very least, every Halo game except Halo Infinite reuses the same exact sound effect, which then led us on to the next quest. Where does this sound come from? Now, a lot of people back in the day who had Xbox 360s might have actually recognized it from a different game, and if that's what you thought, you would be correct, but there's way more going on here. We did a little digging, and it seemed like the general consensus from the Halo fanbase was that the sound effect from the skull was taken from the game Viva Pinata, which was developed by Rare but also published by Microsoft. The fact that when you get a headshot and a grunt, the skull pops and confetti comes out with the same hooray sound taken from Viva Pinata is a pretty cool homage to that game series, and there were some discussions and rumblings online about how that was, you know, a little Easter egg for Viva Pinata as another game in a sister franchise under the same publisher. Now here's where things got a little bit interesting. When I tried to find footage of the yay sound on YouTube, where you could hear the same hooray that you would hear in Halo, I actually couldn't find anything, like at all. I was typing in, you know, just like the terms you would think, Viva Pinata hooray sound. I tried like Viva Pinata grunt birthday party sound. No luck. I had no doubt the sound was in the game, but like I just couldn't find an easy video recording clip of the sound. So Luke ended up going on the quest of playing Viva Pinata long enough to find where the sound comes from, and this is what he found.
So I ended up playing Viva Pinata for like a good 2 hours, and at first I just couldn't find the sound, and I was really desperate to find it. I was like, this has to be in here. I was like looking for birthday parties to happen. I was trying to, you know, get more of the animals. And eventually I was just so desperate, I made a post on the subreddit r/Viva Pinata, and user Ruda Baga Important 555 replied and said, if I remember correctly, it sounds when you smash a pinata and the candy flings about. Well, I guess the whole time I didn't think about murdering the pinatas in order to get the sound effect of children cheering to pop, but here we are. And a couple days later, we're actually talking to our friend Camille about this mystery, and she said she actually knew that's when the sound plays, so I guess we could have just asked her. But thanks again to Ruda Bagger Important 555 for helping me find this after I was completely lost for a couple hours. Also real quick, I want to add that I've never played Viva Pinata before, and I barely knew anything about the game other than it's about pinatas or some gardening, and I was kind of shocked when I realized that this whole game is just about making pinata babies and then feeding them to each other.
Okay, case closed. But no, things get so much deeper because it still doesn't tell us anything about this specific recording. This was a question apparently from years ago, back when Bungie was still running Halo. And if you look this up on Twitter, you'll find the tweet where Halo directly said that the sound effect comes from Viva Pinata. But that actually might not be the true origin of the sound effect. As you might be guessing now from the little introduction we had at the beginning of this video, this sound effect has shown up in much more than just 2 video game franchises. Which is where things get really interesting, because if the sound is used in other things, what is the source of the sound itself? How is it ending up in all of these different projects over the years? This led us to uncovering an old archaic video from the early days of YouTube where someone else asked the same question, and there was something valuable in this video that we are probably the only people to look at in over a decade, and that sent us headfirst into this mystery. So we have this video uploaded by Kyle Anderson, and it's one of those like classic text on the screen information type of videos where you just have to like read all the text on the screen. Solid type of video. But this video is actually really useful because he actually makes the connection that the Grunt Birthday Party sound was originally found in a Sound Ideas series sound effects library. If you don't know what that is, don't worry, because we didn't either. But of course, it took us down the next avenue of information where we started looking up what Sound Ideas was was and where this original sound came from. And sure enough, there's actually an entire wiki page dedicated to different sounds that have been featured in Sound Ideas releases. It's like a sound effect wiki. And Sound Ideas essentially is a company that's been around for years, and they've been publishing royalty-free sounds originally in like a record form where you would purchase their Sound Ideas library, and then you could sift through all the different sounds that they had with like a catalog, and then you could either use a sound or create a new sound, you know, using the existing sounds that were available in that catalog. And as it turns out, there is a small wiki page dedicated to the specific sound from Grunt Birthday Party, which brings us to our famous sound, Sound Ideas Children Cheering Crowd number 02. Who would have thought this sound alone would have such a large legacy? But sure enough, intrigued, we decided to take a listen, and this is what we found. Yeah, that's definitely the Grunt Birthday Party sound, but it was interesting hearing this version because it is the longer, full sample of the sound that runs longer than it actually would in Halo. What's great about the wiki that we discovered here is that they have been logging different sound effects that are recognizable onto the wiki page, so there were multiple different things that have utilized this sound beyond just the 2 games we knew about. And while this answers some questions, it also opens up the door for so many more questions. But here are a few things that have also utilized the same sound effect that we were able to find, and it is interesting.
It's time for science.
SpongeBob SquarePants is coming to Cinemark theaters. So is the 2005 Cinemark calendar featuring Front Row Joe.
Fathers of the Second Continental Congress on a muggy July 4th in Philadelphia, PA, 1776.
Plus, you get a cheeseburger, small French fries, and a small Coke.
And the winner of their own online starring role is everyone!
Okay.
I'd start fall camp each day. Hooray!
Now, over the multiple decades, Sound Ideas has actually released quite a few different sound effects. And we probably need to understand more about Sound Ideas and their process, which we will look into in a little bit. But one thing that is worth noting is that the first Sound Ideas, the Sound Ideas Series 1000, was their original claim to fame. And while it seemed like it might have released commercially and more readily available in compact disc form in 1983, it seems like there also was a reel-to-tape version from 1979, meaning that the sound effects of these kids cheering that were used in Halo are probably much older than most of us would have thought the sound had been. But how did we end up here? Did Microsoft just have a license to Sound Ideas and it just was a coincidence that both Bungie and Rare had the sound available, and when they found the sound they're like, yeah, let's use it? And we hopped in a call a few days ago to try to figure out what to do next and who to reach out to. Hey Luke, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, so I've been looking into this and I was able to track down just a little bit more information for the video on like where the sound comes from with Sound Ideas, and you know, there's the information from that page I sent you, but I feel like if we're going to be able to like figure out the larger scope as to why it's showing up in multiple games and what's going on, we're going to have to like get in contact with some people. So maybe we can try to work on like a list of who we can possibly reach out to and maybe figure out more information about this.
Right. No, that makes sense.
Let me send you over some ideas, and you can send over some ideas, and we can just start sending emails, I guess.
Okay.
See who's willing to talk with us.
Yeah, we got to start reaching out.
So it seemed like the next step for us was to just try to cast a wide net of possible people to reach out to see if we could maybe actually hear something or anything back to get more information to the origin of this sound effect. Why was it used? Where did it come from? We decided to look at both Halo and Viva Pinata as starting points, so we would have to look at both people who worked at Bungie during the time that Halo 3 was in development, and also people who worked at Rare sometime after or before Viva Pinata shipped. And surely there's no way that we would be able to get in contact with the people at Sound Ideas directly, right? Well, we sent them an email anyways just to see what we would find out. Actually, for the sake of this video, we ended up reaching out to quite a few people, but just to try, we reached out to Jay Wineland. He was the audio lead during the Bungie Halo era and would continue to work at Bungie afterwards for a while. I tried tweeting to Steve Burke, who is a video game composer and sound designer. He's known for his work on various Rare titles, and he worked on Viva Pinata. He also worked on Star Fox Adventures, Cameo, Elements of Power. He did sound effects for a lot of other Rare games as well, and he even did like the Avatar little music jingle. I did actually get a response back to one of my Twitter reach out messages from Steve Burke, and unfortunately he didn't actually know anything about the specific sound effect or how like the licensing worked. I reached out to Grant Kirkhope, who is very prolific in the gaming music industry space. He is one of the main composers who did the music for GoldenEye 007, Banjo-Kazooie, Perfect Dark, Donkey Kong 64. He wrote the DK rap, but once again, we don't really have any ins with any of these people, so it's just us throwing, a wide net, hoping that somebody will respond. Obviously, we would reach out to Marty O'Donnell, the music composer who made Halo music what it was. We've interacted with Marty a few times before, so we were optimistic that maybe he'd give us the time of day to chat with us, if we were lucky. But Marty's a pretty nice guy, so he was willing to sit down and talk to us, even if this is such a weird and niche subject matter.
So when we hopped in a call with Marty, we started off by kind of telling him what we have found so far and all the little details we've come across to maybe help refresh his memory. And then we kind of just asked him what he remembers about the Grunt birthday party skull and its origins and when they started using the sound.
Okay, well, where should I begin? I'll begin where apparently Halo 2 had a Grunt birthday party skull in it that I was not aware of. So it wasn't something that we were asked to do anything for, but when we got around to Halo 3, the guys came to us. The designers came and said, hey, we need a sound. It'd be fun to use this sound for the Grunt birthday party skull. So that was the first time I saw it. And they said they wanted to use this sound that was in Viva Pinata, which was by Rare, which came out in 2005 or 6. And so we listened to it and we thought it was really funny. And we had a halfway decent relationship with the guys at Rare. So I assumed wrongly that the grunt that kids cheering at a birthday party sound was something that Rare had designed and sound designed and worked on and hired kids, and they owned the rights to it. So I called the guys at Rare and said, hey, we really like that sound for when the pinata smashed with the kids cheering, and we want to use it in Halo 3 as an Easter egg. Will you let us use it? We'll pay you to license it. And they were so happy to come up with a license agreement and have us pay them money. And the rest is history. We put it in the game and it was funny and everything else. Over the years, I started hearing it like on commercials or some other place. And then I found out, I don't even remember when I found this out, but I found out that it was just a stock sound from the Sound Ideas library that we had. We had every right to just use the one that we had. We were bought by Microsoft and Rare was bought by Microsoft. I think we had a little bit more of a successful run than they did. But we had a lot of fun with those guys. I remember doing some sort of Conker's Bad Fur Day video thing that was which was a little like mini documentary that I was asked to be in about Conker. It was pretty funny.
Oh, come on, but hold still.
We really had no one else in mind for Halo 2.
We looked at a lot of Hollywood talent. We were looking for people who absolutely matched that macho warrior type.
Daddy, come here. Oh.
His language is all over the place and stuff that I just couldn't figure out how to cut.
He really gave 100%, but for us, I think it was just the wrong 100%.
Drunken bastard.
In the end, we had to, let him go.
Man, that was a shame.
It was the kind of thing where we were taking Conker as a character very seriously, like he was a real squirrel that had a drinking problem, and it might not have been that funny, but at the time it was funny.
I mean, I'm still holding out. Maybe Jay will get back to us and we can.
Well, I just looked up. I got his number here. I'll give him a call after we get off. And
really.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. It's always fun talking to you.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to Jay and let you know what happens with that. I know you're going to try to turn this around fast, so I'll do this quick to see if it's possible.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no problem, but we appreciate it.
All right, you got it, guys.
All right, talk to you later.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye.
See ya. Okay, so now with Marty on our side, wanting to get a little bit more information on this and wanting to see what he can find out, Luke and I decided to try to focus our attention on other avenues. But digging in deeper here also made us recognize other significant things revolving around the Grunt birthday party. Like, for instance, there's of course that famous Destiny 2 Easter egg, which Destiny is the game series that the company Bungie developed after Halo, and though most of the original Halo team is not at Bungie anymore, there is a cool homage to the Grunt birthday party Easter egg on the raid Last Wish, where if you enter a certain code in this specific like wall of buttons, whenever you get headshots and kill an enemy, a slide whistle will sound and a bunch of confetti will come out. It's not quite the Grunt birthday party Easter egg, but it's definitely an homage to Halo's earlier Grunt birthday party Easter egg, where they had the cheers and the confetti. Alternatively, we totally forgot about this, but Halo Reach also had an armor effect that was carried over into MCC as well, where if you unlocked it, every time you died, you would have the Grunt birthday party effect happen over your dead body, so that expanded into multiplayer. Also, there may be a secret Grunt birthday party Easter egg in Halo 5 Guardians that has gone completely undiscovered so far. The in-game script from the Halo 5 campaign level, The Breaking, was leaked online months ago, and in that script there is like lines of code referring to some sort of Easter egg that can be activated only on legendary difficulty, where 4 players possibly have to jump through certain trigger volumes, maybe like a parkour, the floor is lava type thing. Once the players jump through 6 different trigger volumes, something is supposed to spawn in that has a health bar or has like a certain amount of health, and you have to defeat it. And once it's completed, the players are supposed to gain access to 8 weapon racks of weapons. When those weapon racks spawn, the Grunt birthday party sound is supposed to be triggered multiple times, and we actually months ago chased this lead when we found out about this and spent hours and hours with a team of 4 on The Breaking, trying everything we could to solve this Easter egg and be the first people in the world to figure it out. We were jumping on all the platforms, trying all types of different things, and we couldn't figure anything out. So ultimately that ended up being a dead end, but it could still be there, and in a way that is a Grunt birthday party Easter egg that's completely different from the main Grunt birthday party Easter egg skull that we all know about. I do think it is interesting, and it is very possible this Easter egg ended up being deactivated before the game shipped, and it is not completable. If you read through the level scripting, when you complete the Easter egg, it gives you like a message on the screen saying congrations instead of congratulations. So who knows if this one was like ready to ship or it was just cut. But okay, we're getting off track here, and things are gonna get spicy. After we'd been working on trying to like plot out how this video would even come across, I felt like we just had to keep digging at this point. Like we couldn't just like give up just like that. But also, it's kind of hard when, you know, you're trying to find something so obscure to put together. It wasn't until a couple of days later that I woke up to a very interesting voicemail. Okay, so little bit of an update here. I woke up to an interesting voicemail, and I'm gonna just play it for you real quick.
Okay.
Hey, Elijah, this is Marty O'Donnell calling. So I just got off the phone with Jay Wineland, and you and I should talk because I got a lot of details wrong. So give me a call back.
So I guess I should just call him back?
No, for sure. We gotta hear what he got wrong. I mean, we gotta...
Okay, so I'm going to give him a call then just like in a little bit later today, and then we'll just like see what happens, and maybe we can get a little more of the story here.
That'd be exciting.
But here's where things get really exciting. Right when we were kind of stumped on what lead to chase next, Marty would help us get in contact with someone very important just then. This morning when you're at your citizenship meeting interview thing, what are you doing? I got a message from Marty letting me know that he had reached out to Grant Kirkhope, and I actually got all of a sudden in a call with Grant.
Oh.
We were able to just chat a bit, and it was really cool. There definitely was something very surreal with having a friend request on Discord from Grant Kirkhope, the music composer from Donkey Kong 64, GoldenEye, and Perfect Dark, my 3 favorite Nintendo 64 games of all time. And while I didn't want to like waste his time just, you know, talking about random things, it was really cool to actually get to sit down and interview him and ask him about this whole thing.
It's weird because like I didn't know it was in every Halo game, right? I didn't know that. That's the first. No, I didn't know that at all. It was something I did such a long time ago. I completely forgot about it until Marty said, "What's the story behind the sound effect?" You know, and like it was just. I actually think Jay Wineland might have called me at Rare. I feel like we spoke, but It was like 1998 or something. I don't know. It's long. Oh, no, it must be 2000 or so because of Viva Pinata. So yeah, it must have been like 2000 something.
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel like we spoke, but that might be wrong. He didn't. He said that they used to play Viva Pinata at the company, right? They always used to play it in downtime because it was a relaxing game in between making Halo games, right? So I was kind of quite flattered that they played the game and they really enjoyed it. And he said, "We're going to use the little children cheering sound effect." I was like, yeah, of course. I think I just sent it to him actually. And then I just forgot about it. I had no idea that it kind of, like you say, had gone this far. And I did just get it from a sound effects library. Like, you know, at Rare, we had a gigantic selection of sound effects libraries that we use for all the games. I mean, generally speaking, you kind of bread and butter, meat and potatoes, sound effects like footsteps and bits and pieces that, you know, that were kind of, we used to just get them for sound effects libraries. But anything proprietary like animal noises or whatever, I'd make the noises or the Donkey Kong, whatever it was, voice that I did for a while. You know, would do those at the company. But any kind of, you know, I don't know, any of the sounds that were like not needed to be made by us, we just get from sound effects CDs. So, and we had this, but a big library, but it was a really slow process back in those days. It used to, you know, there was several composers worked at the company, Robin Beadle, Graham Norgate, Dave Wise, Evelyn Fisher. So, you know, when you went, but you got these big books that were like a telephone, but you'd look through this big book to try and find a sound effect you wanted. Then you'd look for the CD number and you'd ring around and say, who's got sound effect CD 45? And you'd go and get it from their office. And then, you know, it was a big, long, slow process. Now, you know, eventually it all got put online so you could like type in farts and it would load up all the farts on the set and you could play through them all and pick the one you want and down. Yeah. So that was just, you know, that was just the way it was. And so I just put it on the CD and I had no idea it got into all the Halo games. It's the first I've heard of it.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting that, you know, we were trying to chase the origin of where that sound came from. And for a while, some people at Bungie didn't even realize that it was from a sound library. Like it was just thought of as a regular Viva Pinata sound. So, you know, there's like confetti that pops out, which is an homage to Viva Pinata as well. But yeah, no, it definitely one of like a fan favorite Easter egg from the Halo series, which is really cool. And we're trying to track down now the origin of where that sound specifically comes from. So we're emailing back and forth with the vice president of sound ideas, which goes all the way back to like the 70s when the sound might have been recorded. It's shown up in like Frosty the Snowman and some other television series and stuff over the years. So we're going like really, really deep trying to chase this just to see where it goes.
There's probably a bunch of school kids somewhere, I bet, or something like that.
Yeah, probably something just like that. And yeah, who knows what info they'll get back to us with. I kind of want to just pick your brain a little bit on that and see if you remembered it. I do think you're right. It probably was Jay Wineland that reached out.
It was definitely Jay. I remember that. Yeah, I didn't speak to Marty. I spoke to Jay.
Yeah, that was what Marty had said to us when we talked to him yesterday. So yeah, no, really, really interesting stuff. And yeah, I don't want to take too much of your time. I just kind of wanted to.
No, of course, no. I just thought I'd jump on quickly and just say, you know, the tiny little bit of I did for, you know, this tiny thing. I can't believe it's become such a thing of lore. So it's you know, it's very nice for me to be included in something like that. But I really just didn't think twice about it, and it really is the first I've heard of it that it's in all the games. So it's crazy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, like it is. It's like one of the probably biggest like fan favorite. It's not even really an Easter egg anymore. It started kind of as that, but now it's just like a mode that you can turn on. Kind of like, you know, like DK mode on GoldenEye, right? Like you could do a big hit. It's just like that. Just turn it on and it's enabled.
You know, I'm glad to be able to put the rumor to rest.
Yeah, we finally know a little bit more about it. You know, even after we were finished with the main questions we had, you know, Grant Kirkhope and I actually were able to just sit down and chat about some other things that were really cool. I'll be honest, I did fanboy a little bit about Perfect Dark's music. I also might have, you know, praised the Donkey Kong 64 rap because I will die on this hill that the Donkey Kong 64 rap is straight fire. But Grant Kirkhope actually shared some interesting things from his perspective. Any new raps coming up for like a Donkey Kong 2 rap?
Well, funny enough, you should mention that. So we just announced a Donkey Kong 64 redo album that's coming out on Materia Collective on November the 20th. It's actually 25 years of Donkey Kong 64, so being out the same day it got released.
Really?
And even they asked me to do it, and I was like, yeah, I'm happy to redo the music, but I don't want to do the DK rap because obviously I'm not very good at rap tracks, as is evident in the abysmal Donkey Kong 64 rap track, right?
I wouldn't go as far as saying it's abysmal.
Well, I think it depends how old you are. I think the little kids thought it was funny and the teenagers thought it was dreadful because they were a bit cooler.
I was a little young when it came out, but
yeah,
I loved it.
So I guess I get that. But what we did was, Materia suggested talking to a rap guy called Substantial. And so I talked to him, and he's a super, super nice guy. I said, look, if you can make the DK rap even sound remotely listenable, that will be an achievement. And he said, yeah, leave it with me, I'll see what I can do. And he sent back a rough take of it, and it was absolutely fantastic.
Really?
I've got to say, what he's done with it is absolutely, I just think it's amazing. I can't believe he's made that into that piece of into something that's good. So I played some guitar on it. He did all the rap stuff, but he's just redone some of the lyrics, and it feels different. He's done such a fantastic job. I can't believe it.
Wow, I didn't know that this was happening. This
November 25th coming out. So we're going to release the DK rap as a single, but not quite. It's soon, but not yet. So you can actually go to the website, Material Collective. You can hear Jungle Japes. I've redone that. So that single that's out right now.
Okay.
But the album's coming out, as I say, 25 years of DK64.
We also talked about his new credit that he got in a rap song, which after we were done with this interview, Luke and I went and checked out.
Yo, I just want to chime in real quick and say the song is actually fire. It's called Count Money by Babyface Ray and Bossman D-Lo, and you should go listen to it.
And overall, we had a nice little chat about different aspects of the gaming industry, especially nowadays.
I think with gaming development, a lot of the time, you kind of forget that there's like actual people just regular people corresponding with each other to make these little things happen, and it's cool.
Yeah, I do think, and I also think that people forget sometimes that most of us don't know what we're doing most of the time. So especially when you start your career, like Din Banjo Kazooie or even in GoldenEye, I had no idea what I was doing. So the fact that anybody likes it to this day is amazing. So I think people do forget that. I guess one thing that irks me a little bit about the games industry is that games come out and get killed overnight by reviews and whatever. And I feel like, and then the team gets laid off and everybody hates them. And I feel like, no dev team sets out to make a bad game. We all try our absolute best to make the best game we can. Even when you guys are unhappy with Halo games that come out, everybody tried super hard, right, to make the best game they could. And for whatever reason, maybe they didn't make it, or I don't know. But I think that's something people need to remember. We are just people, and we get told to do what to do by the management structure, the producers or the game designers. So remember that the rank and file people, the programmers, the artists, the sound effects guys, the composers, we're just a layer of people that sit underneath the higher ups who tell us what to do. And if they tell us what to do is wrong, we have to do it anyway, right?
Right, absolutely.
So I think people forget that your rank and file dev staff just do what they're told to do.
Yeah.
Right? You try your best to maybe make it better, embellish upon it, but if they don't like it, you got to just do what they tell you to do, right? So I feel like sometimes when people slag games off, they should remember that it's the rank and file people just do what they're told to do. It's the execs, it's the game designers, it's those people who tell you what to do, and if they get it wrong, you just get blamed for it. Right. And that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing that people should remember. Especially as me working as a freelance composer, I do what the people tell me to do, even though I think it might not be the wrong sound or the wrong kind of music for what they want. Although if you don't do it, it's going to get fired. They're going to find somebody else who will do it.
Right.
So I think that if you're going to blame people, don't blame the rank and file people who just do all the work.
Right.
Those guys just do what they're told to do. You want to blame the higher ups who made the decisions? That's fine with me. But the actual the real workers, leave them alone.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the time, the guys on the ground doing the work are the people that really feel passionate about it and have got the best ideas half the time.
Yeah.
And I think that when you get the big corporate overlords that we have got these days, who make demands and have focus groups and shareholders to please and all that kind of stuff, it does tend to react badly on games a lot of the time. Like when we were Rare, we were partly owned by Nintendo, but it was like 49%, so that Rare was still its own company. Yeah. So, and the brothers who ran the company would protect us from any Nintendo pushing. So we got to make the game we wanted to make, and they wouldn't let it out the door until it was a good game, no matter what. Like, back in those days on a cartridge, you couldn't have your day one download that involved Right. 2 gigabytes of information, you just couldn't do it. You had to go out the door as good as it possibly could be. So different times, right? So I feel like you say, the indie guys a lot of the time, they're the innovators because they can do what they want. There's got no corporate overload saying it has to be like this. It has to be a focus group where it's got to fit that and fit that and fit that and fit that. And I feel like sometimes games get made by committee these days, where you get this kind of watered down thing that kind of everyone likes a bit, but no one loves it.
Right.
Where you get indie guys who make what they want to make, and they can equally fail. But if it's a success, it's because they made the exact thing they want to make. It's whatever quirkiness it's got in it, that's what they wanted. No one can tell them what to do. So, double-edged sword, it's hard. It's definitely hard. Games are getting harder and harder to make.
Yeah,
and getting the critique of it is getting a bit out of control, I think sometimes, even if we look at TV and movies and stuff, when they let the fans make it, it turns out great. Like,
right.
When you see Terry Matalas, he made the Picard 3 show, everyone loved it because he's a massive fan and made a great thing. Or even Dave Filoni working on the Clone Wars stuff and later Ahsoka and all that. It's good because he's a massive fan, right? That's the difference, where you get execs who just want to make a show that kind of pleases everybody a little bit, don't work out, So I think that it's let the fans, let the people who really know the lore, who love the property, let them make it.
Right.
And believe in them, and stay out of the way. Hire people that are smarter than you. That's the way you do it. That's the way you do it. Hire people that are smarter than you are. Let's hope people learn the lessons, and fingers crossed, let the fans make the games. That's what I say.
Cool. No, that's awesome. I really appreciate you jumping in here and chatting with me. I know it's kind of out of the blue, I'm sure, to have Marty reach out, but it was awesome. So I really appreciate it.
I'm happy to. I mean, I know it's a tiny thing, but I'm happy to chat. So thanks for calling me.
All right, thanks so much for the call.
All right, Elijah.
Yep. See you later.
See ya.
Thank you again.
So finally, after all of this journey that we've gone through, we were feeling pretty good overall. Like, we had a good understanding about where the sound came from and why. And of course, we know ultimately that Sound Ideas was responsible for the original recording. We actually ended up hearing back from the Sound Ideas guy per email.
The Sound Ideas guys actually got back to us, and they want to set up a call. They said, are you free Thursday at 2 or 3 p.m. EST?
Dude, let's go. We're going to get some information here.
Hell yeah.
That was like the one thing that I was hoping we would have happen, just to like push things to the next level.
To at least give us a little bit of context based on what they know of the recording. Obviously, the recording's probably pretty old, but hey, if they could give us an exact date that the sound was recorded in, or at least what year ballpark to confirm what we've been suspecting, that at least gives us a sense of finality to the whole thing. We were able to jump in a quick phone call with Craig Nimmons, who is the vice president of Sound Ideas, to just get a little bit more information about the sound.
We don't have, unfortunately, the history on that specific recording that I can provide to you. Unfortunately, when that sound was created, I don't know what kind of information you'd be looking for or wanting to know.
Do you know when the sound was maybe recorded or anything like that?
Oh, for sure, yeah. It was definitely done back in the early 80s. It would have been, actually probably back in the late 70s.
Okay.
It was our very first library that we released. The Sound Idea started in 78, so it would be late 78, 79.
And then there's like probably no context as to like where that specific sound was recorded or anything like that, right?
Unfortunately not.
Okay, yeah, I didn't expect that, but I had one more question maybe. Nowadays, how is Sound Ideas like long running library? Like how does that still contribute now? Because I mean, I know that you guys have done some partnerships and there's digital catalogs available for people to use stuff, but maybe someone who's like, looking to access these sounds nowadays, like what's the best way for them to go about it?
Yeah, so we're continually always updating our catalogs of our libraries and creating new content to keep our stuff fresh and unique. We have our main company, Sound Ideas, but we also do have a sister company. We have another company by the name of sounddogs.com, where we can allow people to purchase our sounds individually or on a subscription base as well. We also have another company, a sister company music.com, which they also offer it the same way. And because I understand maybe people don't need a full library of certain various different types of sound effects, and may only require a couple of different sounds for a video or project. So we try to cater to all aspects of the industry, depending on what your needs might be.
Well, thanks so much for the call. I really appreciate it. This is going to be really insightful, I think, and I'm excited to work on this. I think we'll probably try to get the video out next week, so I can send you a link when it goes out.
That'd be great.
Cool.
Thanks, Elijah.
Yep, thanks so much. All right, talk to you later. Bye. I guess I'm not going to talk to him later, but
it's pretty cool to just see like the larger scope of sound ideas and talk to someone directly at the company who's, behind the scenes working there. I mean, if you just look at some recent projects that have been worked on in just the last couple of decades, it's pretty impressive.
You can hear their sounds in The Fast and the Furious, Skyfall, Iron Man, Braveheart, Kill Bill, and Game of Thrones, to name just a few.
Even after all this, we then circled back to Marty again just to kind of go over some stuff.
I had this idea that we needed to get this sound effect. Jay and I talked about it. Somehow I got Jay in touch with Grant Kirkhope, who was running a Rare sound at the time. And anyway, I know Jay reached out. My memory was that we needed to get their permission in order to be legal because it was in a shipping game. The sound effect was in Viva Pinata. We needed to make sure it was legal. And Jay came back to me, obviously, and said something that made me think we did a formal agreement, we signed something, and Rare charged us money. So that's the way I remember the story. So when I reached out to Jay after you guys came to me, I said, Jay, tell me what happened. He goes, oh, I remembered like it was yesterday. But he remembers that Grant, as soon as he could, sent us the sound. And Jay remembers that he was just happy to send us the sound. And we just had a verbal agreement. So when I asked Jay about it later, he might have colored his statement back to me at the time to make sure that I didn't dig too deeply. So he might have said, oh, yeah, it's all official. And that made me think that we had some document, which, of course, apparently we don't. It'd be interesting to go back through the Microsoft contracts to see if there was ever some official agreement. I have a feeling there wasn't, and I have a feeling no money changed hands. But years later then, when I started hearing the sound all over the place and realized it was actually just an effect from the Sound Ideas #1, the 1000 series, I realized how old and how used a sound it was. And it made me laugh because I thought we didn't need permission from Rare and we didn't need to pay anybody money for it because we already owned that library. So it always sort of cracked me up because I thought, oh, that was Rare just sort of getting a dig in on us, see if they could make us pay money for it, which is a funny story, but apparently not true. Because I did talk to Grant recently, and of course, they were very gracious and just sent it to us. So we knew we wanted that very specific sound. The easiest, fastest way was just to have Rare send it to us, which is what we did. How it got put in, it was put in at the last minute. I don't know if you ended up talking to Steve Scott or not, but he was the guy it was his brainchild to change the Easter egg or whatever it was, the skull, so that the confetti came out of the grunt's head and the birthday party sound happened, the kids cheering. So I don't know if you got to talk to Steve, but he's the guy who was responsible for the concept, and he brought it to Jay. So anyway, all's well that ends well. I sort of like my story better. I wish there had been a true story of Rare getting their digs in at Bungie, but maybe that's not what happened.
We didn't get a chance to talk with Steve, but I do think it's cool that we now have that angle where we can at least, talk about a little bit about like the actual implementation of, the adjustment to the Easter egg and stuff and how it changed between Halo 2 and Halo 3.
Steve Scott is also the father of the ODST Easter egg where I'm doing this little dance and hearts are coming out of my head, which of course got replaced
right
in the MCC
that
version.
I still don't understand why they replace that. I mean, obviously they're trying to erase you from ODST, which
They are trying to erase me.
Yeah. But then they're not even at least thorough, because there's other references to you all over the place in MCC that they left in.
Well, and certainly, if I remember correctly, I think the soundtrack still is the same, right?
I mean, that obviously too. But like, there's the shout out to you on the Covenant and Halo 3 that's still in the game. There's all sorts of things all over the place. So it's, I don't know,
well,
that was
I mean,
such a weird thing to do.
We even spent a ton of time just talking about random Halo stuff. We talked about stuff from back in the glory days of Bungie, and also talked about some other little things like 343 Industries.
43 P's on Bungie's Halo. That's what I think.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Can we use that in the video? Are you okay with us clipping you on that?
You know what? They can't hate me more than they already hate me, so that's
yeah.
fine.
I guess what they're gonna do, take out more Easter eggs that mention you.
I mean, everything was just in lighthearted fun, just chatting about stuff. But yeah, huge thank you to Marty O'Donnell for hanging out with us for this video. I have no regrets about this video. I think it was really cool to take an idea like this and just do a deep dive, following whatever threads could come off of it and just see where it took us. And I think we got, ultimately a pretty cool picture as to something as simple as the grunt birthday party sound effect and where it came from, and most importantly, the people that were behind it. I want to give a huge shout out to Marty O'Donnell, Grant Kirkhope, and Craig Nimmons for all taking time out of their day to jump in a call with me. Huge shout out to our patrons for supporting videos like this, allowing us to do these deep dives on more obscure topics. If you want to support us, check out our Patreon, link in the description. Throw a few bucks our way and we can keep doing videos like this way more frequently, because we have some other ideas of things we want to dive into. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you're subscribed, especially if you're watching on TV. It takes 2 extra clicks, but it helps us a lot. And we'll see you guys next time with a new video. Okay, now can we do another one where we're like kind of like contemplating like what to do next with the topic?
Mm-hmm.
Should I put something else on?
Should I put on a hat?
Sure. Okay, that's fine.